All right, lesson 5.3 is slope-intercept form. And here we have a lot of notes and a lot of things you're going to need to copy down and a lot of things you're going to need to study. A family of functions is a group of functions with common characteristics, and a parent function is the simplest function with these common characteristics. The linear parent function is y is equal to x, or f of x is equal to x. And all f of x means is the same as y. It's a function of x. A linear equation is an equation that models a linear function. In a linear equation, the variables cannot be raised to a power other than 1. So in a linear equation, you're going to have like y is equal to 2x. Not y is equal to x squared or y is equal to 2 to the x power. You're not going to have any powers of your variable other than 1. So you're not going to have any exponents of 2, 3, and that kind of stuff. The graph of a linear equation contains all of the ordered pairs that are solutions of an equation. So every ordered pair that is a solution of an equation will be graphed on the graph of a linear equation. And the graph of a linear equation is always a straight line, hence the word linear. Always going to have a straight line. Graphs of linear functions may cross the y-axis at any point. A y-intercept of a graph is the y-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So wherever the graph crosses the y-axis, that's your y-intercept. Make sure you pause and get all these notes. Okay, so let's look at these lines right here. What is the y-intercept of each line? All right, well, let's start with the red line. The y-intercept of the red line is where it crosses the y-axis, and that's this one. And this is the x-axis. So the y-intercept of the red line is 6. The y-intercept of the green line is right here where it crosses the y-axis at 2. The y-intercept of the orange line is where it crosses the y-axis at -4. And the y-intercept of the purple line is where it crosses the y-axis at -8. All right, so the y-intercept is simply the point where it crosses the y-axis. Now, this ordered pair is 0, -8. This ordered pair is 0, -4. This ordered pair is 0, 2. And this ordered pair is 0, 6. So it's the y component of the ordered pair. Your x is always first and your y is second, and that's the y-intercept. Okay? The slope-intercept form of a linear equation of a non-vertical line is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is always the slope and b is always the y-intercept. That's something you have to memorize. Y is equal to mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. All right, problem 1, identifying the slope and the y-intercept. What are the slope and the y-intercept of the graph y is equal to 5x minus 2? All right, the number in front of x is always your slope. So here, the slope is 5, and the number that's out here by itself, the constant, is always your y-intercept, and we represent that using a b, and the y-intercept is -2. All right, what about this one? Slope is always in front of your x, so slope is -1/2, and the y-intercept is always this number out here by itself, so the y-intercept is 2/3. All right, writing an equation in slope-intercept form. What is an equation of the line with a slope -4/5 and a y-intercept of 7? Slope-intercept form you've got to memorize is y is equal to mx plus b. All right, here we're going to recognize that the slope is -4/5 and the y-intercept is 7. So -4/5 is the slope, the y-intercept is 7. So I'm going to plug those into this equation. So y is equal to -4/5 x plus b is 7. And this is your answer. All right, same thing on the next one. What is an equation of the line with a slope of 3/2 and a y-intercept of -1? Got to remember y is equal to mx plus b. Here I recognize that m is 3/2 and b is -1. So y is equal to 3/2 x plus b, but this is plus a -1, so it can just be -1. That's my slope-intercept form for that equation. All right, then sometimes you're going to be asked to write an equation from the graph. So what you've got to do is you've got to look at this graph and figure out your slope and your y-intercept. Well, my y-intercept is easy. It's where this crosses the y-axis, so that's -2. And then I'm going to just pick another point and I'm going to count my slope. I'm going to go rise over run, so I go up 2 over 1. So my slope is 2/1, which is 2. So now I plug that into the equation, y equals mx plus b. Y is equal to 2x minus 2, because my y-intercept is -2. All right, look at this one. We've got to determine the slope and the y-intercept. Here the y-intercept is 4. And then I'm going to count my slope using rise over run. This is negative, so it's a fall. I go down 4 over 4, so it's -1. So when I plug that into y equals mx plus b, y is equal to -1x plus 4, or I can just say -x plus 4. All right, the last one more type. Writing an equation from 2 points. What equation in slope-intercept form represents the line that passes through the points 2, 1, and 5, -8? So I've got to find the slope and the y-intercept. So I'm going to have to use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2 to find the slope. So it's y2, -8, minus 1 over x2, 5, minus x1 is 2, which is -9 over 3, which is -3. All right, so now how am I going to use the slope to find the y-intercept? Well, I can plug the slope and one of these points, and it doesn't matter which one, so I'm going to use 2, 1, and I'm going to use this for m. And I'm going to plug that information into the equation y equals mx plus b, and then I'm going to solve for b, because b is what I don't know. So my y value is 1, m is -3, x is 2, plus b. So I have 1 is equal to -6 plus b, and I'm solving for b, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I get b is 7. All right, so now I know b is 7 and the slope is -3, so I'm going to use y is equal to mx plus b, y is equal to -3x plus 7, and that's my equation. So first I have to find the slope, then I use the slope and one of the given points to solve for b. And once I figured out that b was 7, then I had everything I needed to know to plug it in my equation. All right, same thing, I gotta find the slope. x1, y1, x2, y2. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is -3 minus a -2 over 1 minus 3. -3 plus 2 is -1. 1 minus 3 is -2. So this is 1/2. All right, so now that I know the slope, I'm going to take the slope and one of these points and plug it into the equation. So y is equal to mx plus b. Y is -2. M is 1/2. X is 3 plus b. -2 is equal to 3 over 2 plus b. I'm going to subtract 3 over 2 from both sides. And I'm going to use a calculator to say -2 minus 3 over 2. And I'm going to change that to a fraction, and I'm going to get -7 over 2 is equal to b. All right, now that I know this is m, this is b, I'm going to say y equals mx plus b. Y is equal to 1/2 x minus 7 over 2 from b. All right, the last type is graphing these. We know that 2 is the slope and -1 is the y-intercept. So first I'm going to graph the y-intercept, -1, and then I know that this slope is 2, which is written as a fraction as 2 over 1. So I go up 1, 2 over 1, up 1, 2 over 1. And that's how I graph that. Okay, same thing with this one. This is my y-intercept at 4. Slope is -3, which written as a fraction is -3 over 1. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. All right. That's that graph. And the very last one, I know that the y-intercept is -8 and the slope is 4, written as a fraction. That's 4 over 1, so -8. Go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. All right. Okay, a lot to the slope-intercept form, so make sure you go back and watch this video and make sure you watch these examples. And if you have any questions, let me know.